Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'll let you introduce yourself to Sister Charmian.
Yes, good evening. Welcome. My name is Katari Mundit. I'm one of the organizers for New African Network. My background is in finance and accounting. I'm also an entrepreneur and I'm also a realtor. I'm from South Sudan, but here lived in the state for over 23 years. I came here with my family as a refugee. So that's just a little bit about myself. I live here in Maryland. So welcome. Guys, who next?
Hi, greetings, sister. Greetings. My name is Rasalula here, and I'm in Philadelphia. And I just want to welcome you on behalf of the New African Network. Thank you so much for being here with us. God bless you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
And I am Jerome Matias. I live in Baltimore County. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago. Been living in the States for about 21 or 22 years. And I'm an artist and writer. I'm author of one book that's published so far, working some others, and nice to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Hi.
Hey, there's Johanny online. Nice.
Hi.
Ça va, comment vous va? Comment tu vas? Tu parles français, non?
Are you addressing me, Charmian?
Yes.
Yes, je vais très bien, merci, et vous?
Ça marche. Je réponds au nom de Jean-Paul de la foi en français ou bien Johanny Paulo Imana en Swahili.
Ah, d'accord.
Today I am in a wedding, so I'm actually not at home. Normally I do host, but today I'm in a wedding. I'm a Pan-African, and I live in DC. Actually, today I'm in somewhere in Virginia. I don't know where, but yeah, that's where I am today for the wedding. Thank you for coming. Where are you located in Cameroon? Yaoundé or Douala?
No, I'm located in Douala.
Douala.
I've been in Douala, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, how is there? Good?
Douala is fine. Everything is very calm. No complaints. We're just coming on the end of the rainy season. So the climate and the temperature is really quite agreeable this time of year. We'll be preparing to send the kids back to school pretty soon. But everything is good. Everything is good. COVID seems to be coming under control. People have been doing an excellent job wearing masks and social distancing. So it's feeling relatively safe.
Okay, do you still have Paul Biya there or is dead?
No, Paul Biya is still in power and he has been for at least 32 years.
I know. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. I actually emailed you some of my contacts as well. I was hoping you're gonna check on me on WhatsApp, but I didn't get any message from you. I don't know if you received my email. Yeah, I sent it. I think from New African Network actually.
Okay.
But I was going to ask you about this project. I was gonna put your picture on there, and I used the flyer to put the same picture you have on your bio.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and do we have anybody else want to introduce themselves to Sister Charmian? Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the program this afternoon. Okay, Sister Charmian, thank you for joining us here at the New Africa Network. And we are a network of Pan-Africanist businesses and alliances that have developed over the last couple of years. We've been working very closely with First Lady Ambassador, former Ambassador Ericana Chirumbero-Kwa of the African Union. We're tied into a whole slew of Pan-Africanist groups that have been working to further the embetterment of our culture, our race as a people, and also to open up dialogue to be able to exchange information both politically and economically. So right now we'll open up the platform. We're live on the YouTube air, and we're here with Sister Charmian. And Sister Charmian, tell us a little information about yourself and your organization in Cameroon. Reporting live from Cameroon, West Africa.
Wow. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your show. I'm really thrilled to be able to make this kind of connection and not have to do it physically in person. But I am from Milwaukee, as I sent you in my bio. I grew up in Milwaukee. My parents grew up in Milwaukee. My grandparents grew up in Milwaukee. So I'm really a true Midwesterner. I was one of the first to participate in the Chapter 220 busing program that took inner city students to the suburbs for school. And it was a pretty remarkable experience for me at a young age because I became acutely aware of my otherness, so to speak, you know, being one of few other Black kids surrounded, you know, by Caucasians in a school system that really was catered to the success and the development of Caucasian students. But nevertheless, because of the education that I got from my parents, I'd always kind of had my head turned towards Africa. And despite the very negative PR around Africa, around our culture in general in the US, I'd always been very inspired and motivated to visit Africa, to see Africa, and then eventually to move to Africa to make my contribution. So I've been here for 15 years now. I've been married to Max Penda, who's a Cameroonian national, for 20 years. We have 4 children who go to school here. We live here through the school year, the academic school year, and then we come home to Milwaukee during the summers just to keep that balance. So that's it. I started volunteering at the American Chamber of Commerce. I heard about it when I first got to Cameroon, but coming from a teaching background, it was sort of a welcome surprise. And so hearing that there was, which was called at the time the American Business Association, something in me was like, I have to be a part of that organization. They didn't have very much publicity at the time. It was still a pretty small, affable chamber that really didn't do meaningful programs and events for their members. But I just thought, you know, with the education and with the exposure that I had gotten as a 220 student, that there was something meaningful and significant that I thought I could bring to the chamber. So I started to volunteer, and I worked hard, and I was committed, and I was dedicated, and was able to pull together an interesting group of board members, which grew the membership and got the attention of the U.S. Embassy, and, you know, allowed me to do more programs that were interesting and meaningful for the chambers. And so now today is recognized as one of the chambers of influence in Cameroon. So I'm really happy about that. But I'm most happy about being able to bring together diverging groups of business leaders to, you know, to work towards a common cause. So that's what I've been doing at the chamber for the last 12 years. But I recently left and am developing actually my own platform to be the landing place for African American businesses looking to Cameroon and the continent at large. So that's what I've been up to.
Wow, it seemed like you've been doing some very extraordinary stuff there in Cameroon since your time there. And I can also recall some of my experience working with the Washington, D.C. Chamber of Commerce in hosting many delegations from many nations, particularly with the nations that I was mostly given instructions to oversee, which was the Caribbean nations. And then later, some years later, then I had a conglomerate of both Caribbean and African nations in which we oversaw when they would come here to the United States, and to make sure that they were getting connected with the right businesses and people that they had on the agenda. So with that background, I see that you have an extraordinary education background, Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin. You also studied at Sorbonne University in Paris, and also Le Dart da Vinci in France as well. Tell us about your educational experience that you've had with all that being said, and how did you use that education to help propel your platform today on what you do career-wise?
Well, when I started at UWM right out of high school, my focus of study was actually African American studies. And so I'll circle back to that because I have kind of a funny story. So I attended UWM for a few years, and my interest was piqued to travel to Europe. I had an opportunity to go to Paris, and of course I seized it. And I'd always wanted to study abroad, but my first choice was Spain for some reason. I think because I had 4 years of Spanish, and so I thought, Spain would be viable. But I ended up going to Paris, and when I visited there, I left and decided that I have to go back there. I have to find a way to be able to go back to Paris, because I was just very intrigued by it, particularly by the fact that Paris is a very Black city. It's a very immigrant-rich city, especially with citizens from the Francophone African countries. Mm-hmm. So that was a really interesting piece that was unexpected, but something that I look forward to discovering a little bit more. So I was able to enroll at the Sorbonne University to actually help me learn French language and civilization. That was for a short period. And then after that, I enrolled at Leonardo da Vinci in Courbevoie, France, for social management. Unfortunately, my time there was cut short because my father fell ill, and as the good daughter that I wanted to be, I actually returned to the States to help my mother take care of my father. And so upon my return, I thought, well, here's an opportunity with this new skill set. I would love to be able to teach underserved kids in our community French. Mm-hmm. And so I started working at Marble Collins Preparatory School, and that experience was absolutely amazing, because again, that was one of those stereotypes or bad PR problems that our children, don't learn as well. We don't capture foreign language. Foreign language is inaccessible to us, and it was absolutely the contrary. Those kids did so well with French language. It was very, very, very impressive. So that was, I think, one of the best experiences I've had, being able to transmit French to, and I see you have an Eiffel Tower in the background behind you, to be able to transmit French to our kids in our inner cities who were just, incredible with it.
Yes, sister. Yeah, some of my relatives went over to France a few years ago and brought back some Parisian relics. And that would be one of them right there. That is a house that they gave to us some years ago. But yeah, thank you, sister, for sharing that with us. Well, let's get down to talking a little bit about business right now and the atmosphere in the Cameroonian region. Tell us a little bit about some of the business or economic opportunities. Africa, as you know, has been on, has started the fast track to the African Industrial Revolution since the year of a bow started last year. And basically, many of the nations in the ECOWAS region is on the fast track for developing construction to housing, medical, you name it. Tell us a little bit about the atmosphere in Cameroon and some of the economic opportunities that exist there right now.
Okay, sure. Well, Cameroon, as you know, is located in what you call Central West Africa. So there are about 26 million people here. It is a republic. The co-official languages are French and English. Now, what's interesting about Cameroon is that the landscape of Cameroon represents Africa in a miniature size. You have desert, you have grasslands, you have tropical, you have mountainous. So that gives you a nice variety and a very rich cultural landscape, okay? But at the same time, being a part of the CIMAC zone, Cameroon is actually the gateway to Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Central African Republic, and a couple of other countries, which there is road access to. And by Cameroon being in that position in the CIMAC, it is actually the breadbasket of the CIMAC region. And I think that's just an important thing to mention, because if you were to invest in Cameroon, well, that also gives you an opportunity by proximity to have access to those other
neighboring countries.
Yeah, those other countries. They're sovereign nations, and they trade with Cameroon. And Cameroon actually represents like 40% of the GDP in this economic monetary zone. And there will be some inherent challenges there because, of course, you know, their regulations and trade laws and all of that are not identical, but just based on proximity, that gives you more access than what you would, you know, kind of access if you were just shooting for one particular nation. You talk about transportation, I think, construction, mining, agriculture. These are some of the areas that are underdeveloped and could definitely use technology, equipment, management, organizing. So organizing in terms of subsidiaries such as coffee, for example, the coffee industry, the textile industry, all of these areas of development could use commercialization and organization so that there's a concerted effort coming from that particular area or industry, as opposed to you trying to work with individuals or, you know, farmers individually who are producing crops that you may want to add value to and export. So,
yeah, you know, a lot of people don't know that Cameroon is one of the major producers of a very fine tea, and that tea is basically a part of the UK Queen's what is it? What do you call it? It has the mark of the Queen to guarantee that this coffee is one of the best in the world. So we do know, like you say, Cameroon is the breadbasket of the world. And with all that being said, what can we do here in the African diaspora to get more brothers and sisters interested in coming to Cameroon to do business, not just in the agriculture sector, but I'm pretty sure there's a whole slew of opportunity ranging from, like I said, infrastructure to telecommunications, to developing internet technology and network, and also manufacturing. So how's that coming along with the country, and how the citizens are existing with that now?
So how can African Americans invest in Cameroon? I think that was the first part.
Yeah, that's correct.
Your question.
Yeah, part of how it is.
First and foremost, I think it's important. Okay. I think it's important to do the research, about Cameroon, and to try to understand some of the underlying cultural aspects that affect the way people do business. And what I mean about that is, maybe some of the first things we look at when we're interested in getting involved in a culture is the outward appearances, the languages they speak, the food, the dress, some of those things that are more visible. But there's an underlying aspect to the Cameroonian culture that I think is important to consider, and that's, for example, time, the way that they view time. Things take a lot longer than we might be comfortable with. Not because we're right or they're wrong. It's just that, one of our models is time is money. That's not necessarily a model that they share. So something that should take only a few days, let's say creating a business. There is a new government agency that was put in place to ease the creation of business. It's only supposed to take 2 to 3 days. In reality, it takes a lot longer to do that. And unfortunately, there really is no recourse. There isn't another institution you can go to and say, hey, I dropped my paperwork off at the agency. They were supposed to guarantee me 2 to 3 days before I could get registered. So you just have to wait, is what I'm saying. There's a lot of environmental time wasting here. Things take an inordinate amount of time. And so patience is really key. So once you understand that what your objective is may not come to fruition in the time frame that you expect, then you manage those expectations a little bit better. But in terms of being welcome to invest in this environment, I think so. It's always really important to know the right people on the ground, because it's virtually impossible to do any business overseas, and not have somebody you can trust in this environment. Exactly. Who can navigate, the administration and some of those cultural.
It sounds like that would be an opportunity right there by itself, with the Afro diaspora helping to sort of bring the streamlining of IT system, possibly the development of a consumer commercial or consumer division similar to what we have here in the United States. You go to an organization, get your paperwork registered all in one spot, and the government, all the agencies are kind of streamlined on one platform about your company, your corporation, to be able to help get you to the right resources that's necessary, and especially the Department of regular business and regulatory affairs. That sounds like something that could be used. The African diaspora can actually get involved with. Now, any questions out there from any of our platform members for Sister Charmian as we're getting along into the program here? Just open up the platform for anybody who wants to weigh in on a little bit of our information. If not, then we'll go ahead and continue on. Okay, so we're going to move on to a little bit of political talk. And one of the things that we know about Cameroon is that the African diaspora is a Pan-African family where we believe that as Africans, whether or not we speak English or French or Portuguese or Spanish, that we all should be on one accord for developing African people, our life and the way we live in culture, and restoring the respect to the African nations. Can you tell us a little bit about the xenophobia situation that it took place there in Cameroon over the last couple of years, with the divide between those who wanted to break away from Cameroon and to, I can't remember what the English wanted to form their own nation because they felt like they had not been treated fairly because of the language barrier. How's that coming along these days?
I think, it's hard to speak on behalf of a group of people who are suffering through a conflict that you're not necessarily impacted by. So there is an ongoing conflict in the Southwest region between the Francophones and the secessionists, those who want to create their own country, apart from Cameroon. What happened in the last couple of years is that the government obviously took notice of it, and there had been some internal conflict, and they held a discussion, and they invited key members from the Cameroonian diaspora back to Cameroon to be a part of the discussion, along with several diplomatic corps and embassies and whatnot to participate in that. There were a list of action items that were drafted that they were intending to implement. But to this day, I don't really see any real progress or real steps to sort of not only quell the violence that's taking place, but also to kind of restore the unity in Cameroon. So while people may not be as vocal about it, you may not see news stories or read them in the paper, there is definitely an underlying tension and animosity, that some Francophones and some Anglophones have. Even within those sides, on the Anglophone side, there are obviously, many people who don't believe in secession. They believe that, Cameroon is one Cameroon, and whether you speak French or English, that this is, one nation. So historically, though, it's important because it's a question of resources. So in the Southwest region, for example, you have the Sonara, you have the oil refinery, you have a lot of minerals in that area that some of the Anglophones don't feel has been justly managed, and that they get their appropriate share of those resources. On an educational level, the English speakers don't feel that the English language, it gets as much prominence, neither in textbooks, neither through teaching materials and curriculum, as the French language does. In the you have French-speaking judges just as you have English-speaking judges, but because language is the vehicle of thought, translations and interpretations of the laws can mean different things depending on who's interpreting. So it's really multifaceted. I mean, I just stay clear of any of those discussions because, again, historically, I sympathize with it, but it's smart for me to just kind of keep my mouth shut and let Cameroon handle Cameroon.
Right, for sure. Well, it seems like it's a situation between the have and the have-nots, and we've always talked about that. There are disenfranchised African people all over the world, and this has becoming a growing problem with those who have the means to make change and that are in power, but don't really effectively use that power to address some of the needs of what the citizens of the country need and require. As we are a new breed leader generation, it is now that it has come to term with the generation who our age and younger to be able to look and see what some of the problems are that we're faced with, and that, but also coming up with some effective resolution and solutions to be able to handle and manage some of today's problems, and especially moving into a culture of people who are moving into the 21st century, looking to get away from some of the things of the past that have stifled us. And one of those things, speaking of language, the Pan-African family have been looking to develop a common language speaking Swahili. So how often is Swahili spoken in the nation itself? And we know that that is a language that is not common to any one tribe or people, but could be used as a catalyst to, as we are building the new African empire. Can you tell us how often Swahili is used in Cameroon?
Wow, that's a really good question. I would say almost never. Almost never.
Wow.
I'd like to say something, brother and sister. Thank you. So,
Go ahead, brother.
I heard you speak earlier, sister, about the conflicts between the so-called francophones and the so-called English phones, or something like that. Anglophones. You said Anglophone is a word, I believe. And
Yes.
So, do you think the people would benefit with a common African language? So, you have the European languages involved here, and that's possibly a very big root of the conflict. So, will the people benefit from a common language that's not from the colonizer? And could that language be Swahili? Would that benefit the people to overcome certain disagreements and things like that?
Yeah. For disagreements and things like that. Yeah, I think that would probably take a lot of confusion out of the dialogue. Now, the practical application of using Swahili as the common language in Cameroon and then Africa at large, I think that's a good idea, because language can serve as a connector, but it can also serve as a barrier. And in this case, what you're saying, the need or the idea of replacing both French and English with Swahili would maybe help remove some of those barriers so that they could actually, find common ground with a new language.
Know what it was?
Yes?
Go ahead, sister, continue.
Right, so I was saying that having a common language could indeed remove barriers, because, each of those languages comes with a history, that whole history after the Berlin Conference, and that is completely associated with being colonized, which obviously, impacts and affects pretty much everything that we do today. So that might be a good way to kind of unravel and deconstruct the way that we've been engaging with each other, and might help in the way that we handle conflict going forward, if there was a unified language.
Mm-hmm.
So will you be the spokesperson in Cameroon to promote Swahili as a means to effect unity amongst the Cameroonians?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the first part of your question.
Yes, I was saying, will you be a spokesperson boots on the ground person in Cameroon to promote Swahili as an effective means to help end the conflicts, you know, and promote unity in Cameroon?
Well, I'm not against it, but I have to say that's something I could support. Would I be willing to, you know, be the spokesperson for that? Not necessarily at this time. I have other priorities, but obviously, you know, peace is our top priority. But I don't know if I would be the best person to do that.
I understand that, but I mean, I'm sure you'll be very much on the front lines in some capacity or not in that endeavor.
Listen, I will support anything that keeps the peace and, you know, that brings people together, and anything actually that makes us look clearly at the root cause of some of these conflicts. If it has to do with colonial domination and interference that happened, you know, centuries ago, I mean, it's worth reviewing. It's worth deconstructing all of that, and just removing anything that isn't actually of service to us today. You know,
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
that means, certainly we see that is the whole fight of this new revolution, is to enlighten our people about some of the problems that have come up to stifle our growth as a people, as a collective, as a African unit, as people that have been disenfranchised because of colonial systems that have been in place long ago to do what they do today. But we're a smart generation of people who now can take control of our destiny. And we may not have known what to do about the past, can't do anything about the past, but certainly we can control our future and what our future looks like as a united African people. So let's get down to discussing a little bit about the culture in Cameroon. Tell us a little bit about the people, the culture, the food. Are there any festivals that come up that could be relayed to brothers and sisters in the African diaspora who may want to come there to visit? Tell us a little bit about the tourism side of Cameroon.
Oh, that's a very good question. You know, excuse me, Cameroon has like amazing potential and possibility in tourism, particularly for Black Americans who've traced their roots back to Cameroon. So there is a point of departure in the southwest region of Cameroon called Bimbia. And this is where there were Cameroonians who were held captive, and then who were taken from that point of Cameroon to the New World. There's an eminent professor, her name is Dr. Lisa Albright, and she is really the top scholar with respect to Bimbia. She's done a tremendous job, you know, bringing that to the forefront. And what she has discovered about Bimbia is that Bimbia is turning out to be the place where more Africans were taken from the continent and transported to North America. And so this is scholarly research that she's doing, and unfortunately, this is not necessarily a welcome information to the Cameroonian authorities. You know, it's just something that they don't necessarily want to embrace. They don't want to associate themselves and have to acknowledge, you know, their participation in it, and that this happened on their soil, and that this was like the biggest point of departure, you know, outnumbering the number of people who were taken from Ghana and Senegal.
Right.
So that's actually a very interesting place for tourism. It's undeveloped, so there's some potential there to, you know, build tourism around that particular site. You also have Yaoundé, which is the state capital, which of course is the center for all the administrative and political goings on in Cameroon, which too has a very beautiful landscape. The climate is very comfortable and ambient. You have Penda, where I am, which is the economic capital, which has a very vibrant nightlife and restaurant scene.
Hey.
Yeah, there we go. So you can have a great time in Douala. It really is a great time in Douala. And there are so many different world cuisines. You have Lebanese food, Indian food, French food. Yeah, just a really, really good, gastronomic experience in Douala. But Cameroonian food is also very good, especially for vegan brothers and sisters. I mean, you just have your choice of whatever it is that you want to make. This, just fruits and vegetables. You can't get enough of it. It's great. The only fruits that we're really used to in the States that you don't find here are berries. So strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, those sorts of fruits are very rare. You can find them, but they're extremely expensive. But otherwise, it's this city, Cameroon in general, lends to a very healthy lifestyle because food is absolutely abundant.
Yeah, that's definitely it's considered, like you said, the breadbasket of the world, that particular region, and which has a very diverse terrain, ranging from the coastal plain all the way to the mountainous, and in some parts, very cold region up in the higher plateaus of the mountainside and so forth. So yeah, we look forward to working with you and your organization there in Cameroon. We are bridging the gap with brothers and sisters in the diaspora, and specifically here in the United States, getting brothers and sisters connected with like-minded business brothers and sisters in the Cameroonian and the ECOWAS regions, all throughout the whole continent of Africa, as we are bridging the gap between those sisters who had missed out on the divide between us because of the neo-colonial powers that had stifled our growth. So what would you like to, I know you've been kind of keeping up with the political atmosphere of what's been taking place here in the United States, and you being a citizen of the United States, what can you do to encourage brothers and sisters to look at Africa as an alternative place for us to live at? Would you kind of give us a general idea of your feelings and what you've seen from the outside looking in?
Yeah, my feeling is that there is a lot of despair in our community in America, and I'm so thrilled that people are starting to wake up to the option that Africa might be part of their exit strategy, and it can be, and it should be. You don't have to be there. So racism obviously is extremely distressing, individually and collectively, even if we personally are not being pulled over and harassed by law enforcement. I mean, the fact that we know other people who are is something that we experience collectively. And so that is not normal. That is not normal. And our response to that can be to just leave it behind. And while it is true that, some of us will leave and will come, will, become explorers, will pick up where Marcus Garvey left off, but then many of us will stay home, meaning the US, and fight the good fight. And rightfully so, because they may not necessarily have the affinity, and the love that we have for Africa and the future of Africa. But, I always say the economic power of Black Americans combined with the economic power of continental Africans would shut it down. The day that we wake up and we start having those conversations that we haven't been having since the Berlin Conference, things will change. Things will change, but we have to, deconstruct and review the fact that we haven't spoken to each other until now. There are conversations that we need to have behind closed doors. We don't need any outside observers. There are issues that we have to address within our communities and solutions that we have to put on the table for our communities. When we do that, now nothing will be out of reach. Nothing will be out of reach. We are a people of resistance, of survival, and we always will be. And that's something that we can share, with our African brothers and sisters who sometimes find it difficult to adopt that liberation culture. That comes naturally to Black Americans. That's our history. It's in our blood. That's something that we can share with them, and there are things that they can share with us. So I'm looking forward to the time where, like the conversation we're having right now, we can have these conversations, all over.
Totally. And it's something that we need to be able to expand our horizons. And many of us here in the United States are deprived of who it is that we are as African people and our culture. And a lot of that gets kind of tainted, and we become blindsided because of our integration into European society, and also trying to figure out where we fit in a European system. And with all that being said, I think a lot of our problems can be solved by the unification of an African people as we stand undivided. Who can stand against us? And so, yes, sister, we appreciate you coming on, being a part of our New African Network show. And we're going to open up conversation between you and our First Lady, Sister Dr. Kathari. Dr. Kathari, would you like to weigh in on some of the conversation? We are also built in empowering women and African Black women to be able to address some of the things that have kept our women not able to achieve the maximum of what it is that they can do. And we all know that the African woman is the mother of civilization. The African woman and the Black man is the birth of civilization as we know it today. And so we give a quick shout out to both our kings and queens out here that are doing extraordinary things behind the scene, but sometimes unnecessary, get the actual media and advertisement that they need to have a voice in the world. So Sister Kathari, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Brother June. Sister, well, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to the platform. I learned so much. I came here to the United States at a very young age, so I'm learning more about my culture. When I say culture, the entire African culture. So yes, definitely, I'm one of those people. Definitely, my heart is really to go back and give back, especially do some program with women and youth, because coming to America as a refugee, that's what you call it from beginning of, it's just not an easy situation that I grew up with, but definitely I'm grateful for the whole entire process of what I went through. So you don't take life for granted. So you come here and said, well, I'm given an opportunity. What can I do to go back and empower my people? So that's what it's all about. So thank you so much. I'm actually glad about the food. I actually have a lot of friends that's from Cameroon, and the food is delicious. I was born and raised in Ethiopia. To me, I think Ethiopian and the East African, they have the best dishes for me, and then West African, I would definitely say Cameroon have the best dishes. So I'm also a vegetarian and vegan, so I'm definitely looking forward to go and have so much fun and just enjoy the culture. I will be definitely traveling a lot to Africa. I've been here for over 23 years, so it's time for me to go back home and do the work. So again, I appreciate you so much for sharing the knowledge with us, and we're definitely looking forward to welcome you back again. Thank you, Brother Adrian.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Brother Jerome, would you like to weigh in? Brother Jerome, are you still with us? Okay, what about Brother Amani? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, Jerome, today, but it's kind of loud here, so I don't know.
Okay, no problem. Okay, well, it seems like this has been some very important dialogue that we have had with Sister Charmian from reporting live from Cameroon, Douala, and we look forward to partnering up with you to help expand your operation in Cameroon. And so in the very near future, we have also had some dialogue about putting together a trade mission that will bring brothers and sisters here in the United States over to Africa. Many of them, it will be the first pilgrimage to Africa. Many have already traveled, but are looking for various places to where they can do business at, to live, work, and play. And so we definitely would like to have Cameroon on our agenda as one of the places to travel to. We've also been discussing with the ECOWAS organization, partnering up for a African Liberation Week that will take place in one of the ECOWAS nations in Africa, but also give the opportunity to visit a few neighboring countries that we'll be able to look at repatriation, dual citizenship, and being able to bridge the gap for the jumpstart of the African Industrial Revolution. So I know it's getting close to our closing time for this dialogue today, and would like to open up the platform if anybody else out there as a part of the New African Network would like to weigh in on the conversation, or perhaps have a question for Sister Charmian of Cameroon.
Hey, Sister Charmian, this is OP actually. Everyone hear me?
Yes, go ahead, brother. OP.
Yeah. Just a quick one for Sister Charmian. Does Cameroon offer or allow citizens of the country to have dual citizenship? Last time I checked, that was a no. But is there any kind of information you can share with us on that front?
Yeah, actually, no. Okay, to my knowledge, Cameroon does not allow dual citizenship, but I know that there are differing viewpoints that are circulating out there. But to my knowledge, Cameroon does not offer dual citizenship. If they did, I think it would be really quite convenient, for example, for our children to be dual citizens, because it's quite the hassle sometimes to, have to renew our resident visas every 10 years. And if we were able to, have dual citizenship, it's probably something we would opt into. So no, not unless something has changed, in the last couple of days, but no, there's no dual citizenship. So.
Yeah, I also
just another topic to add to the agenda. On what we want and what we need.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Definitely something we need to start talking
Yes.
about and considering because Cameroon seems to be a very interesting West African country. It's kind of in a very strategic position, and for some reason, it's not a member of ECOWAS, right?
That's
It's
correct.
kind of
That's correct, Brother Opie. That's what I was getting ready to bring up.
right. Go ahead, Brother Eugene.
Yeah, so we noticed that Cameroon has not officially become a member of the ECOWAS initiative. And so we definitely want to begin to have that discussion because many of ADOS, which are African people, African descendants of enslaved people, come from those regions. And as we begin to open up more dialogue about repatriation and dual citizenship, we definitely want that part of Africa to be part of some of the constitutional changes as it began to open its doors up to receive the African diaspora back to the continent itself. So yeah, that definitely will be some discussion that we could perhaps have in the near future with the government of Cameroon to see if that is some possibilities to kind of begin to look at that. And we think too, by the African diaspora coming to the continent, it would help enlighten our brothers and sisters of some of the changes that are taking place, and then also being a catalyst for bringing forth some of the divide and the division that our brothers and sisters have with one another on the continent itself, for helping to bridge that gap. Okay, so anybody else out there want to weigh in before we get towards the end of the dialogue this evening?
Yeah, Jerome here has got one quick question.
Go ahead, Brother Jerome.
Yeah, so is Cameroon, I believe it's Francophone, right? But could you also speak English there, or are there other local languages that people speak in Cameroon?
Yes,
about indigenous languages.
Indigenous languages, yes. It is listed that Cameroon has like 264 different languages. 264 different languages. French and English are the co-official working languages, and I would say that it's mostly French. So maybe kind of 70-30 split, French 70, English 30. But like I said before, Cameroon has a very, rich cultural heritage. And so there are many different ethnic groups. And within those ethnic groups and within, those subgroups, there are like 264 languages. Some being obviously very, very similar to each other, but others being very different.
It's a very hard to believe that the Swahili is not spoken there, and seem like the language is similar to Nigeria.
Right.
We have more than 200 indigenous cultural languages that are spoken there as well. Give a little bit of information about the culture and the music itself. Cameroon has a very dynamic music industry, and for a lot of people here in the United States, in Washington, D.C., there is a music called go-go, and a lot of folks, they do not know that that music was derived from many of the tribes that came from West Africa, and especially the Cameroonian region. And you can hear when the music and the percussions, how the music is being played, very similar content to traditional African tribal music, Coogan, which I believe is a part of one of the tribes there in Cameroon. So yeah, we look forward to bringing a whole slew of people there. When this Corona stuff is over with, man, we're going to be flooding the gates of West Africa, and we're going to make Cameroon one of the #1 hotspots to stop at and drop in And I'm gonna tell you, sister, when we come there, we're gonna be ready to party, get business going, and we're gonna be a whole lot of money flowing. So just be ready when we get ready to bust that move. Y'all know who y'all messing with. Y'all messing with
Beautiful.
Eugene, brother Eugene gets down now.
I love it. That's so good to hear. I'm so looking forward to it. That's so wonderful. I mean, there's so many opportunities. You know, I'd be so happy to be the one to help you navigate this scene and really.
That's what's up. Well, we're definitely going to open up the opportunity for you to shine, sister, and that's what we need, more people like yourself. And so the next time we have you on the show, we'd like to hear from some of the local business people that you may be engaged with. I think that's very important for the native brothers and sisters on the continent to see that there are brothers and sisters outside the continent who really want to connect. And so we're going to, next time we have you on the program, we're going to make that a part of that process as well. And we're also going to get you hooked up with some brothers and sisters right there in the ECOWAS regions, in which we have been working with, also on the East Coast, pretty much all over Africa. We have a very broad connection with over 1,000 people who are part of our network now, and viewers that have reached out to us from all over the world. So we definitely want to get you connected with that part of our network. Can you share with us, how can we get in touch with you there in Cameroon? A little information about your contact info.
Sure. I think what I will do, Brother Eugene, is probably just text that to you. Maybe is if that's the easiest way to do it, and then you can share that with people in your contact and really encourage them to, reach out to me if they have any questions about anything that we've discussed this evening. Please feel free. Feel free. I'm, very willing to share whatever information I have that will help, allay their anxieties about, even visiting Cameroon. Whatever I can do to help, I'm willing to do that. And then, when they're comfortable enough to want to make some investments, then we can, look at our service offering and our value proposition for them that will, bring them the kind of returns that they can expect also from this market.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, that's what we're here for, sister, to broaden the horizons of all of us Africans here in the diaspora. Brother Roz, anything you'd like to weigh on before we end the program? All right. Well, that looks like that may do it for our program for the evening. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for weighing in. This is Sister Charmian reporting live from Douala, Cameroon. And this is a very dynamic sister who has been has been working with the American Chamber of Commerce in Cameroon for a number of years now. She's an American citizen who have studied both here in the United States and in France. And this sister has been doing some very dynamic stuff to help bridge the gap with the Pan-African movement. Of course, we just recently had the Marcus Garvey celebration, the year 100 of the Garveyite movement. And so we want to continue to encourage our brothers and sisters out here during the time of Corona, be strong and stay safe in a time like this. But our ancestors and God Almighty, our Creator, is leading us into a direction that's going to be a positive direction for all of us, confronting the change which is taking place on planet Earth, which we live on today. So thank you, Sister Charmian. We thank you, brothers and sisters, for tuning in. And we'll see you next week around this time, 6 p.m. with another one of our guests. And just stay tuned, and we'll be broadcasting who the next guest will be this upcoming week. Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters, and all have a blessed week.
Thank you. Have a good
One
night,
love.
everybody.
Thank you so much.
One love.
Bye.
Thank you.